Hi, we are going to do a 2-minute tapping and it's going to be on phone calls. This can be particularly challenging for the teenagers or 20 somethings who did not grow up making phone calls because they had texting. I have worked with several people who are afraid of phone calls. So I want you to evaluate on a scale from 0 to 10, how afraid are you of making this phone call? 10 being absolutely petrified and 0 being like, I can make the phone call. The goal isn't necessarily to bring it down to 0, but the goal is to bring it down low enough that maybe you'll make the phone call. So we're just going to state the truth of how we really feel. I don't want to make this phone call. I refuse to make this phone call. I don't want to make this phone call. You can't make me make this phone call. I am not going to make this phone call. I don't care how important it is. Or maybe I know how important it is, but I'm just too afraid. Use your words. You can't make me make this phone call. I refuse to make this phone call. Maybe you've made a phone call in the past that did not go well. If something's coming up, you can tap on that memory. Maybe I'm just afraid because I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I don't want to make this phone call. What if the worst thing happens? I don't want to make this phone call. What if the worst thing happens? I'm really nervous to make this phone call. I don't want to make this phone call. Could I make this phone call? What if the worst thing happens? Maybe I can make the phone call. And I'm using alternating statements, opposite statements on purpose. I won't go into the science. Just trust me. I can make this phone call. I cannot make this phone call. I don't want to make this phone call. I need to make this phone call. I don't want to make this phone call. I want to make this phone call. I need the results of this phone call. I need to take this step. I don't want to do this phone call. Just breathing into those feelings. Again, we're not trying to go to a 0. We're just trying to bring that intensity down to a 4, 5, 3, something more manageable so that you can power through and do this hard thing that's making this phone call. So once you get to that point, if you can stop the recording, I'm going to do one more round. I don't want to make this phone call, but it is important to me. I don't want to make this phone call, but I do need to make this phone call. Maybe I can make this phone call, or maybe I don't need to. I want to make this phone call, but I'm really nervous. What's the worst thing that will happen? And I'm going to tap in silence while you think about that. The worst thing that will happen. And maybe it is pretty significant if it's a call to your doctor or your lawyer. This phone call is terrifying. This phone call needs to be done. Maybe I don't need to make this phone call. I get to choose. I choose to make the phone call. I choose not to make the phone call. And the great thing about tapping is once we calm our nervous system, then our brain is back online and we get to decide what are we going to do. So I hope that was helpful. Good luck making your phone call. I hope that it's for something fun and wonderful and just something out of your comfort zone. And if it is a little bit more scary, my heart goes out to you. I wish you all the best. Thank you.